What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show here on a Sunday. Ending off your weekend right. I forgot what day it was for a second. Sunday. The Blazers played the Spurs for the second game in a row, and they lose for the second game in a row, Eric. And at this point, the Blazers are pretty much locked into sixth place lottery odds. We'll, of course, take a look at that. But a good loss for the Portland Trail Blazers nonetheless today to make sure that they don't catch the Sacramento Kings, who are currently sitting in seventh in terms of lottery odds. This was a game that had some good moments. The Blazers were competitive in the first half, but this was a night in which they could not finish inside the arc. They shoot under 40% from the field. They did shoot 36% from three. Keon Johnson had some good moments, though. 19 points to lead the Blazers. 8 for 15 shooting from the field. 3 for 7 for Keon Johnson. So that is the positive to take away from this game. The other positive to take away from this game, Eric, is Greg Brown goes 4 for 5 from 3. I think he needs to wear goggles for the rest of his career.
Yep, several of his teammates, including Justice Winslow and Damian Lillard, 100% agree with that.
Yep. So we'll see. It kind of completes his look. He just looks like I don't know, just the goggles fit Greg Brown. And I don't know if he had, I mean, you want to just start off with this conversation, Eric? I don't know if he had, if it's helping with his vision, or maybe his vision wasn't all the way there without the goggles. I assume they're not prescription goggles, but I don't know. It's just weird how this dude puts on goggles. All of a sudden, he's a freaking sniper.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's just a small sample size, I guess. But yeah, maybe it gives him magic powers. I don't know.
Yeah, because what was he the game before?
I think he
was 2 for 3 last game. Okay.
And I want to say he's 11 of 18 since he's wearing the goggles.
11 of 18. I know that's a small sample size, but my goodness. Phenomenal shooting night for Greg Brown III. So good to see those two young guys in particular play well, in a lost season, tanking, rooting for the team to lose. It's nice to lose games and have players play like that. It's nice to have Keon Johnson play well. It's nice to have Greg Brown the third play well. If it's Ben McLemore playing well, I don't really care. When it's those two guys, that's some good long-term optimism, because I see those guys being a part of the team next year.
Yeah, for sure. And a side note, nice to see Zach Collins get his first career double-double tonight with 18 points and 13 rebounds. So congrats to Zach.
Good for him. He started off early triple-double watch last game. Didn't end up panning out, but good for him to have a double-double tonight. Good to see the former Blazer back on the court. Keldon Johnson led the way for the Spurs. 28 points, 9 for 20 from the field. Do you have any takeaways from this game, Eric, that you want to talk about, the actual basketball that was being played today?
I mean, once again, like Friday, we get off to a good start. We're up 15-2, I think. And it's oh gosh, they don't have DeJounte Murray. They didn't have Pirtle for this one. So you're thinking oh, please don't be one of those games. And then they got just hammered the rest of the game. They were actually losing at the end of the first quarter, even despite getting off to a good start, and actually took the lead again at halftime. But then a dreadful third quarter did them in, and I'm all for it. So good job. Like you said, it's nice to see at least one or two young players do well, especially guys who are under contract like Keon and Greg Brown for next year, and but still lose comfortably and not have to sweat out whether we're going to add another win and possibly hurt our lottery odds.
Yep, absolutely. So Greg Brown III in his last 3 games, 11 for 19 includes 2. So 11 for 19 from the field, but 9 for 13 from 3 in his last 3 games, Eric, which is a phenomenal shooting clip. Good to see him knock down some shots. And it's good to lose these games still, but it could be a situation where the final couple games of the season, maybe the final 3 games of the season, don't really matter for the Blazers win or lose, which would be kind of nice. And anything else you want to talk about before we jump into the Tank-a-thon picture?
Not really. I'll give Chad a chance if they want to. If they have anything about the game before we move on to other stuff.
Yep, chat, give me your hot takes, give me your cold takes, give me your game takes, and feel free to ask a couple questions. I just want to make sure to give, give us a chance to talk about the game in the post-game show.
Could be the Thunder right now who are messing up a chance at a bottom 3 just like last year at the end of the season.
Yeah, and they ended up falling to 6. They got Josh Giddey out of it, so I'm sure they're fine with that now, but
Detroit as well, yeah.
It would have been nice for them to have like an Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley would have made a lot of sense there. Imagine Evan Mobley and Poku long term. That would have been intriguing, but yeah, give me your takes. Detroit fans can't be happy either, says Andy Marchant. I agree, Detroit's been winning games lately, and the Detroit game today was relevant for the Blazers. They're not going to catch the Pistons, of course, but they had a chance to catch the Pacers. The Pacers lost today. I've been saying not to get your hopes up about the Pacers winning a game for the rest of the season. They were, and still are, 2 wins below Portland. So they're in 5th place. Lottery odds, Portland's in 6th. Even if Portland lost every game the rest of the season, the Pacers were going to have to find 2 wins. They were playing pretty much playoff teams, except for this Detroit game that they played today, and they were actually up in the second half. I tuned in, saw that they were up 6 at one point in the second half. They end up losing to Detroit. Okay, so that's why the thumbnail title was the Blazers are locked into 6th place lottery odds, because that's basically the situation they're in. We'll look at that in a second. I just want to see if chat has anything for us in regards to this game. Shaggy Squid asks, since Blevin's NBA career is probably over when the season ends, should he start the rest of the games? I don't know if his career's over, man. I mean, he's been... He sucked today, 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3, but he had been just as impressive as CJ Ellaby in the past few games. So I could see him back on a 2-way contract next year.
Yeah, maybe. But sure, start him. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm absolutely down to start him. Give CJ Ellaby some rest.
The other important note with the Lakers loss today and the Spurs winning, the Lakers are now a full 2 games behind the Spurs with just 4 games remaining. So
it's going to be Spurs Pelicans in the play-in, and that makes me nervous. But I mean, the Spurs are well coached. Hopefully they have DeJounte Murray back. I assume they will. What did he miss with today?
He's got an illness, so yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think hopefully he's back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously CJ McCollum is the guy who makes the Pelicans work, and DeJounte Murray will get the task of guarding him in that playing game. I mean, the Lakers still have an outside shot of making up ground, but at this point, it's looking like it's going to be the Spurs. The Lakers can't win a game. LeBron didn't play today, so it is looking like a completely lost season for the Lakers. So we will preview that playing game once it's set after the end of the season. And obviously, that's very relevant for the Blazers, so we will cover that. Maybe we do a post-game show. No, I'm not going to do a post-game show for a playing game, but obviously we'll cover that game and kind of preview it. And obviously we're going to be rooting for the Spurs, assuming that the Spurs are the team that's going to be playing the Pelicans in that first playing game.
If it lines up with a Blazers Uprise Live day, we could always do it at 9:30 instead of 3:30 and then talk about the implications of it.
Yep. So Blazers Uprise Live is where we're going to be streaming all off-season, in case you haven't been keeping up to date with us. I know a lot of people haven't been because this team is not fun to watch or even talk about right now. We're just waiting for the end of the season, but streams in the off-season will be on our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live, still Monday and Thursday, just at 9:30 p.m. Pacific time instead of 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. We'll still have big streams over here on the main channel. Draft lottery stream will be fun, hopefully. And then free agency as well, but outside of that, all of our live stuff is going to be over on that second channel. So if you want to subscribe to our second channel, Blazers Uprise Live, link into the description box below. All right. Let's just jump into the Tank-a-thon. Let's not wait any longer. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at things here. Eric.
Yes, we are. Max, the Lakers fan, will be live on Draft Lottery night, May 17th. We will have all the picks. I'm sure Tori will do something fancy for that.
Of course I will.
And yeah, we'll either have a celebration all together or we'll all cry together and talk about the Milwaukee 2025 second round or first round pick and the Blazers not moving up and 2 teams below us moving down. So yeah, whatever happens, we'll either be excited with you or be in pain with you.
Yeah, we'll be that draft lottery stream is normally like before the first game of the Western Conference Finals, so maybe we'll talk about the Pelicans facing the Grizzlies in the Western Conference Finals. Who knows? And maybe we know that we won't have the Pelicans pick by then. That's the thing with the play-ins, Eric. I don't think there's a shot New Orleans plays their way in. Because if they're going to play the Spurs, I think they're going to win that game. I think it's going to come to the Pelicans versus the Clippers or the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
The Clippers have clinched being a play-in team.
Yep.
So they cannot move up. They could still move down to the second play-in, I guess, technically, if Shaggy is right and they completely melt down into the season. But, they're pretty much locked into that second play-in. Or the first play-in, I mean.
If they beat New Orleans, which I think is their next game. Yeah, New Orleans is their next... Oh, New Orleans is tonight. Okay, so Clippers are playing New Orleans. They're tipping off right now. If the Clippers win that game, they clinch the 8th seed. Yeah. Because they'd have 5 more wins than the Pelicans with 4 games left. If the Pelicans win, it's still likely the Clippers get the 8th seed, but obviously we don't want the Pelicans to catch the Clippers. I just don't think that's going to happen. So here's the lottery picture. Indiana is not getting 27 wins on the season. They currently have 3 games remaining, Eric. Let's just look at their 3 remaining games. It's Philadelphia twice and Brooklyn. So they'd have to win 2 of those 3 games. It is not going to happen. Okay? Giving up hope at even tying Indiana for 5th place lottery odds. And honestly, if we tied them, it wouldn't even matter too much. We'd have a 40% chance of the top 4 instead of 37%.
And, well, let me just look at this. So Philadelphia is currently in 4th.
Mm-hmm.
I guess technically tied for 3rd. And then the Nets are in 10th. Tied for 9th. They can still move up. The Hawks, Hornets, and Nets are all 1 game for that 8th spot in the play-in. So they're still playing for possibly being in the first play-in instead of the second play-in. So I was wondering if there was perhaps a scenario where any of those teams tried to lose on purpose like the Clippers last year to avoid a team, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
Yep. So you're looking at 6th best lottery odds. I mean, in order to tie Sacramento, Portland would have to win 2 more games. They got 4 remaining. You got Dallas, Utah, New Orleans, and OKC on that. I mean, we could beat OKC, and then maybe we try and beat New Orleans. I mean, we're trying to win every game right now, and we're not. So I'm not expecting to get 2 wins out of these final 4 games, but if we get 2 wins out of our final 4 games and Sacramento loses out, which they have Golden State, New Orleans, the Clippers, and Phoenix probably isn't going to try and win that game, then you're looking at a tie for 7th, a tie for 6th and 7th between the Blazers and the Kings. I just don't see the Kings losing all 4 of these games and the Blazers winning 2 out of their final 4. Mm-hmm. I think at this point, I am very confident that Portland will be alone in 6th in terms of lottery odds heading into the draft lottery.
I'm cool with that.
Yep, absolutely. So the Pelicans pick, obviously, they can maybe move up to 10. They're currently tied with New York, but New York has played 2 more games than them, so that's why it's New Orleans 11th and New York 12th. So obviously this pick can move around a little bit, and we'll have to pay attention to that. But at this point, I just want this New Orleans pick. I don't really care if it's 10, 11, or 12 or wherever. I just want to make sure we get it, but obviously that's out of our control.
I forgot who it was. Might have been Greg. But someone posted on Twitter a lottery sim in which Houston ended up with the 1st and 2nd pick, and we were 3rd.
Yeah, I think it was Greg. Yeah,
that was funny.
You could end up, honestly, you could have Houston and New Orleans, just the only 2 teams in the top 4. Imagine draft lottery night where Houston's pick is top 4, the Brooklyn pick to Houston that's unprotected is top 4, the Lakers pick to New Orleans is top 4, and the New Orleans pick, their own pick is top 4. You could end up with Houston 1, 2, and New Orleans 3, 4. Obviously, extremely unlikely, but there's some crazy scenarios out there given that you have Houston's unprotected pick, or Brooklyn's unprotected pick to Houston in the lottery, and then the Lakers' unprotected pick as well.
Mm-hmm. That'd be so devastating because that would mean uh, 3 teams jumped us, so we'd be down at ninth.
It's always relevant to look at later picks in the draft, too, for potential trade downs. OKC's pretty much going to end up with 15 and 30, most likely, unless something happens with the play-in. The Clippers could miss, or, they could beat the Timberwolves, and then the Timberwolves could miss, and that pick might be 16 or whatever. But I always keep track of San Antonio, because San Antonio has the 20th pick and the 26th pick. San Antonio's also intriguing because if Portland ends up here at 6 or 7 and San Antonio ends up at 9 or 10, maybe that's a situation where Portland trades down 3 spots and gets one of these firsts from San Antonio. So that's something that we haven't really been able to talk about in this channel's history before, is potential trade down options in the draft, because we either didn't have a draft pick or our draft pick was in a range where trading down didn't really make sense. But when you're up here, 6th, 7th, that's usually the range where teams will trade down. So it's always interesting to see where San Antonio ends up, not just for their own pick, but also for the pick they have from Toronto and the pick they have from Philadelphia. Anyway, you ready to sim?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Fingers crossed for some post-game lottery simulation luck. Charlotte at 14. At 13, you have Brooklyn's pick to Houston. Sounds like Ben Simmons isn't going to play in the play-in. So that's a situation where Brooklyn might be on the outside looking in the playoffs. That would be something. Right now, they would play Charlotte in the 9-10 play-in game. Atlanta's up in 8th. They beat Brooklyn yesterday, despite KD having 55 points. At 12, you got New York. At 11, we keep the Pelicans pick, looking good there. At 10, Washington. At 9, San Antonio, looking very, very good so far.
Next one should be what, Lakers?
Lakers to New Orleans. So no teams have moved up. At 7, you have Sacramento. No teams have moved up.
This is ideal so far.
Yeah, this would be the most ideal situation, is no teams moving up, taking away a top 4 spot. At 6, Portland moves into the top 4. There we go, some post-game luck. As I said, it's very unlikely Portland gets 6 because it would require none of these teams from 7 to 14 moving up into the top 4, and then it would require the Blazers not moving into the top 4 either. So it's very, very unlikely that the Blazers get the 6th pick, despite having 6 best lottery odds. So Indiana falls a spot, and then Houston falls 3 spots. So you got Detroit, OKC, Orlando, and Portland. Those 3 teams have better odds than the Blazers. So at 4, you do have the Blazers. At 3, you have Detroit. At 2, you got OKC. At 1, you got Orlando. Anything jump out with this kind of arrangement of teams? Obviously, Portland at 4 is intriguing if it's still Jaden Ivey sitting there at 4. What jumps out to you, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about the 4 scenario, but I don't know. I guess Detroit's the wild card there. I could see them going one of the top power forwards, or I could see them taking Ivy. I think they need both positions, and I think that would be the ideal scenario to stay, not only get a top 4 pick, but to not have to give up assets to move up or whatever and still get one of the top 4.
Yep. I still think OKC might be a team that goes after Jaden Ivey. SGA, Jaden Ivey, and Josh Giddey is intriguing offensively. It's just hard to say at this point, but Jaden Ivey definitely has a chance of going top 3. But we've discussed at length potential options if he's there at 4. Could also trade down to... Go ahead.
You also have... I mean, I don't know if Houston would want Ivey, but if they did... You're sitting there with 5 and 13.
Yep. So people might be like, why would Houston trade up 1 spot? If it's a situation where Portland isn't going to take Ivy and they're looking to trade down and they're just going to take the best offer, then if Houston really wants Ivy, they could definitely move up a spot. It might seem kind of weird, but... basically whoever trades up to 4, if Ivy's on the board, would be taking Ivy. So 5 and 13, I would absolutely take that. You'd be sitting there with 5, 11, and 13. I don't think that's enough to get into the top 3 because it's a pretty clear-cut top 3, but you could be sitting there with... would you try and package 11 and 13 and trade up to, 7?
So what, we'd have 5 and 7?
Yeah, something like that. You could be looking at Shaden Sharp, AJ Griffin, or Shaden Sharp, Keegan Murray, or...
I'd probably consider moving down from 5 to 7 versus doing that. Yeah. Simply because like Sharp and AJ Griffin and all those guys are probably a similar position wise in the NBA, and
Yeah.
so like I don't know if you necessarily have to make moves to get two of those guys.
Yeah. I assume Keegan Murray would be one of the picks if we did that, to be honest.
For
so
us, yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, at this point, I feel like at the draft, around draft time, I'm going to be lower on AJ Griffin than I am now. He didn't have a noticeably great game yesterday. He just does not look like he's 6'6" either. I know I've talked about him having low shoulders, but just eyeball test, he doesn't look like he's 6'6" to me. It's going to be really intriguing because there's a lot of prospects here whose measurements they feel a little bit taller than they should be, but obviously it's kind of hard to tell just based off an eyeball test looking at a TV. I just feel like Griffin might be a guy that falls a little bit, so it'll be intriguing to watch that.
So Shaggy Swid says Magic could take Ivy. They already have Carter Jr. and Bamba. Well, first of all, Bamba is a free agent.
Yeah.
Second of all, if you're talking about their big man depth, but not bringing up their guard depth with Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, Jalen Suggs, RJ Hampton, etc. on that roster already, like they're way more loaded at guard already than they are up front, big man wise.
Yeah,
including Bamba being a free agent.
Yeah, so that's just a situation where Orlando's going to take the best player in their eyes. It's not going to matter what position they play. And that's the thing. At number one, you shouldn't draft a guy because you have some okay depth at some other position. So Orlando's just going to take best player available. I think OKC is going to take best player available. I think Detroit's going to take best player available. The only team that I don't think would just automatically go best player available in this top four right now is Portland. Because obviously they're very set at guard, and those prospects are close enough where, maybe they just don't go Jaden Ivey. But like every other team doesn't have enough at any particular spot to shy away from a guy. So that goes for Houston as well, in my opinion. That goes for Indiana as well. Chris Duarte's been solid, but if you can get Jaden Ivey with Halliburton and then Chris Duarte's your third guard there, that's intriguing long term. They don't really have anybody else that definitely deserves to be in the fold. Well, I think they would trade Brogdon in that situation.
Make some moves.
Yeah, because Brogdon doesn't fit their timeline as much as they're going rebuild mode. Brogdon, I don't feel like fits their timeline with Halliburton, and Duarte's pretty old for a rookie. But so that's the thing. Indiana is kind of in a confusing transition period, so I wouldn't. I would feel like they would also go best player available.
Yeah. So OKC is 15 right now, right?
Yep.
So yeah, if the question by Andy is, would you consider trading down with OKC if they fell to fifth or sixth in this scenario and we were fourth? Absolutely. I would consider moving back a couple spots and picking up the 16th or 15th pick or whatever it ends up being, and getting that.
There you go. There's your scenario. Portland at 4, OKC at 6. Yeah,
yep.
6, 15.
Yep. So I would definitely consider that. I would wait to see if it is Ivy on the board out of the top 4, because that would be my prerequisite. If it's not Ivy as the top 4 shakes out, I'm not trading down at all.
Yeah.
So, if it is Ivy, I consider on multiple options at that point.
Yep. And honestly, Portland might be able to get 6, 15, and 30 out of OKC if they have 4. Because obviously, you're only moving up 2 spots, but you're moving up from like AJ Griffin to Jaden Ivey, which is quite a leap there, assuming Ivey's left at 4. So that's the thing, is with that New Orleans pick as well, if you trade down, you could maybe package a couple picks and trade back up in a different part of the draft. So if you do 4 for 6 and 15, you could maybe package 15 and 11 and move up to 8, maybe 7 if you wanted to. And at, presumptively you'd take Keegan Murray and then Shaden Sharp, or like Keegan Murray and Mathurin, or some combination there. But Portland's going to have, if they jump up into the fourth spot, obviously it's better to jump up into the top three and then just take Jabari, Chet, or Banchero. But if they end up fourth, they'll have a lot of options on the table to maneuver around the draft and get specific targets. So, even moving up into the top four is a huge get, even if they don't stay there.
Yep.
Anyway, let's take one look at the mock draft. Go ahead.
I do think outside of maybe Sharp, I don't see really any scenario where there isn't a fine line between 4 and below that.
Yeah.
Like, there could be a team that falls in love with Sharp, like the mystery of him, and if he wows in workouts. But short of that, I don't see any other team like taking like Benedict Mathurin at 4 or something, or AJ Griffin at 3, like that kind of stuff. I think, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely agree on that.
So if we do get 4, we're pretty much there are going to be trade opportunities, I think, because people, especially teams that are desperate for top end talent versus, kind of question marks or lesser top end talent. I think they'll definitely be making that phone call to talk to us about that.
Yep, I agree with that. We'll take your draft questions right now if y'all want to send them in.
Lou the Ruler asks, so our pick that's supposed to go to Chicago, where is that at right now? Well, since we did not make the playoffs, it stays with us and it just goes back or pushes to next year. And it's that same scenario till 2028.
Yep.
And so if we make the playoffs next year, say we had like 20th pick or whatever, that would go to Chicago, and then the terms of that trade would be over, and we wouldn't owe any future first or anything after that point. But until that conveys, we are stuck with this situation for each of the next 6 years.
Yep. All right. Yeah, send in your draft questions. We'll talk draft a little bit. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about.
AJ asked if we could go after Mo Bamba. The problem is he's got a huge qualifying offer.
Yeah.
So there's kind of 2 scenarios that could play out if Portland is interested in him. I'm not even sure they would be, but if they were, the first scenario would be if the Magic didn't tender that qualifying offer and he became an unrestricted free agent. I think the market for him would bear out maybe a little differently because he'd probably get offers in that mid-level exception range, and we could possibly offer more than that if we worked out a sign and trade with the trade exception. And then the other scenario is the Magic do offer him the qualifying offer, but don't really want to keep him, and we work out a sign and trade that way with him as a restricted free agent. But I don't know. He doesn't seem like the type of player we'd spend some of our assets on when we're pretty obviously going to re-sign Nurk.
Yep. Let's see. Do I feel like AJ Griffin was used properly at Duke this season? I don't think he was used improperly.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to answer that question.
Well, my answer would be I think all the players on Duke were used fine, but they're not in the situation. Like, if you put AJ Griffin in Keegan Murray's situation, is he like taking over games or like showing you more because he has to?
Yeah.
Or is he just like, I don't know. He did fine in his role because he was an absolute sniper this year. Great 3-point shooter. And that says a lot about him in my mind, that his athleticism might have been zapped a little bit because of injuries, but he still showed improvement with shooting and defense and things like that. So I don't think necessarily it was the wrong role for him. I just think it's when you play on that team. I mean, if you watch that game last night, just look at the last like 4 minutes, and it was like people were, I wouldn't say scared, but it's like, who do we go to now? Like, we're all good, we can all maybe get our own shot, but like they probably should just gave it to Banchero every time and take it over, but they were all kind of trying to play on selfish and stuff, and I think it cost him that game. So I think it's just a scenario where he wasn't on a team where he was just given the ball pretty much every possession and was able to do something with it. And I think it might have been different if he was on a team like that. So it's always hard to judge because, like, if you look at his numbers, we only average like 9 points a game or whatever. Like, this guy sucks, but I mean, that's all situation in my mind.
Yep. So there's multiple questions about like who we draft in certain spots, and basically it works out this way for me. If we get the first pick, I want to trade it down for the third pick and another asset, and then take one of Banchero, Jabari, or Chet. If we get the second pick, I assume that one of Jabari and Chet will go first, and I just take whichever one is left. If we get the third pick, I take whichever one is left out of Banchero, Chet, and Jabari. If we have the fourth pick and we don't trade it, because that was a question in chat from Greg, I would take whichever one is left out of Ivy, Banchero, Chet, and Jabari. At that point, if the three power forwards are gone and you don't trade down, you just take Ivy at 4 because he's definitely the best player left on the board. And then you figure it out. Maybe Hart has to play some 3. Maybe you trade him. You have to figure things out from there. Maybe you trade Ant in a sign and trade for an all-star caliber player. I wouldn't trade Ant for less, even if we had Ivy. That's kind of where I sit on the top 4. Would you agree with all that, or do you have any difference in opinion on the top 4 and how you'd handle each pick?
I mean, I might differ in the top 3 who we take, but other than that, no, it's pretty straightforward in my mind.
Yep. At 5, I would take Shaedon Sharpe at this point. Below that, it gets a little messier where I'm not sure. I need to see AJ Griffin's measurements. I need to see Keegan Murray's measurements. I'm just not as high on Keegan Murray as other people. I don't have him outside the top 10 or anything, but I'm a little bit lower on him. Mathurin, I think I put in the same tier as Keegan Murray. Honestly, it might be a situation on draft night if Mathurin measures well and AJ Griffin doesn't, where I have Mathurin above Griffin. So at 6 and below, it gets a little bit harder to call right now.
Yeah, and for me, this also depended on if we get that top 3 pick. Because if we do and we get a power forward, then like Keegan Murray might not make as much sense as a Mathurin or a Sharpe or whatever. So, not that I'm not thinking about, like, I don't want to draft based on position, but I also don't want to draft like the same 2 guys either, or like a guy who's going to be a backup no matter what happens, even if they're like a stud. So a lot of that depends on measurements and where both picks lie. Or if we only get one pick, we have to come away with a starting caliber forward in this draft.
Yeah, I disagree in terms of I'm not worried about like, what happens if we draft 2 similar guys and they both pan out and one has to be the backup, because I think at that point, if both are looking legitimate, you can trade one of them, and it's unlikely that even if you're talking about late in the lottery, I feel like it's not likely that we get 2 high caliber starters if we draft like a Mathurin and an Agbaji or something like that. I feel like one of them will pan out and one of them will be a decent bench player. It's just hard at that point in the draft to nail 2 legitimately solid starters.
Yeah, the only reason why I say that is because, I mean, like I said, a lot of this could change with measurements and workouts and things like that. But as of right now, there's like little tiers that for me are so razor thin in terms of like the difference, like my grades between them, that like if it was between Keegan Murray and Shaedon Sharpe or whatever, or AJ Griffin, and we'd already gotten a power forward, and I think Keegan Murray's only a power forward in the NBA or whatever. He's probably not quick enough to play small forward a ton. So like I'd probably then lean towards that small forward or whatever and give that slight edge to them if it's close. Now, if Keegan Murray has a better grade than anyone else at that time, then absolutely, I agree with you. You just take who's ever the best available and run with it.
Yep. There's a trade question. I think it was, I forget who asked it. I think it was, would you trade the Pelicans pick for 21, 29, a future first, and Brandon Clark?
That was Mr. T.
Yeah, I think the future first is a little bit much. I think the best you could hope for is like 12 for 21, 29, and Brandon Clark. And depending who's on the board at 12, I think you have to think about that. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
At 21, you probably take Koloko. Hopefully he'd fall there to 21, and then I don't know who to take at 29. But, Brandon Clark, Brandon Clark's just hard to fit in. He's kind of an undersized four, but doesn't really shoot the ball too great. So if you have him next to a stretch five, I think he's a good player. He's just a guy that you have to have the right pieces next to for him to just kind of mesh.
Yeah, I think unfortunately 21 and 29 is a little too far down for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would do that. I mean, if they wanted to give up a future first two, then that's fine. Yeah. But
you gotta love when I'm asked a question like, what would you do with the fourth pick if you don't trade it down? And I said, oh, well, I'd draft Ivy, and then you gotta figure things out, maybe trade Ant or trade Hart or start Hart at the 3, and then people are like, well, I'm just gonna trade the fourth pick before I trade Ant. It was legitimately based on not trading down. Obviously, if the Blazers get the fourth pick, you look to trade it, and you look to, if you can get like a Pascal Siakam, you gotta consider it. And matching up the salaries is difficult, but if you're able to do that, you have to consider it. If you can trade down to like 6 and 15, which we just talked about, you do it probably. You have maneuverability there at 4. You have a ton of different options on the table, and they should all be considered. So if we end up at 4 and we just like, oh, yep, we're not even going to consider any other options, we're just going to take Ivy, then I have a problem with that.
Yep.
I mean, the best to hope for with 21 and 29, though, would be Jovic and Koloko. I agree. Because Koloko, it seems like other people are lower on him than me and you. I have him as a top 20 pick.
And Taylor Packer asked, do you guys make your own rankings list? Of course we do, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of last year, honestly, Tori and I don't want to speak for you, Tori, but let's just say we didn't put the same level of passion and excitement and stuff into last year's draft, knowing that Portland had no picks in the draft.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard to get this excited about it. And then combined with that, with this year having possibly 2 lottery picks, 2 second-round picks, and then also the fact that for the first time in a long time, so many of the lottery picks actually not only played in college but made the NCAA tournament, and so there was just so much opportunity to watch a lot of these guys play. So this is something that this year I think Tori and I will have a lot more just cool stuff with the draft versus last year when it's hard to really get too excited about it, knowing we would probably trade for a late second round pick, but other than that, we weren't going to do much.
Yep, agree. We'll put out big board articles on the website, probably just our big board rankings next to each other, no nothing else to it. But I do want to, publish our big boards, and you guys can see how it changes over, this will be after the season, though. We're going to try and do a lot of stuff after the season in terms of the draft, so.
So, Agbaji.
Okay, yeah, let's talk Agbaji. I mean, the dude had a phenomenal Final Four game. He obviously plays tomorrow night in the championship. Worked out with Dame in the offseason. You have to consider him with the Pelicans pick. Go ahead.
Spencer asks, since Dame trained with Oshai, does that make you think we might target him or that he'd be a realistic target for us? And would that make you more optimistic about his fit or upside on our team if we specifically did target him because of that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily draft him because of his connection to Dame. I mean, we drafted CJ McCollum, and he had a connection to Dame because they dealt with the same type of injury in college, so they had talked to each other before we drafted CJ, and obviously that panned out. But, I mean, Agbaji makes a lot of sense. If the Pelicans pick ends up 11 or 12, he makes a lot of sense there for us. I think he'll be ready day one. The dude can shoot the ball, improved off the dribble, and is a solid to good defender. I just feel
Moves
like
all off ball too.
What'd you say?
He moves really well off ball.
Yeah.
I watch him a lot off ball. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the type of guy where if you like, I could see us drafting him and him just being that perfect type of role player, you know? Like, I could see drafting him and him being like a Cam Johnson type of pick who went 11 3 years ago to the Suns, even though he was an older draftee. So I would not be upset with Agbaji whatsoever. I think he would be a pretty flawless pick, especially if you end up with a top 3 pick and get Jabari, Chet, or Banchero. I think Agbaji would be a really good second selection there.
Yeah. And here's my thinking. If it comes down to we have to draft Agbaji to keep or to convince Dame that pick shouldn't be traded for Jeremy Grant. And everybody be like, no, we got your guy. We don't want to trade him now. And Dave was like, oh, right, yeah. Like, I like Agbaji. Let's keep him. That would make me so happy if that was the reason why we didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be hilarious if that was the reason. But
yeah, I don't think... God, why you gotta bring up Jeremy Grant, man? I hadn't thought about Jeremy Grant all this stream. Dang. Sorry. Every time I think about Jeremy Grant, I get triggered because I don't want that dude on our team. But yeah, I mean, I'd rather have Agbaji than Jeremy Grant next year. I don't think Grant's a Portland for the Pelicans pick is as clear cut and dry as people think. Not at all. Obviously, we have to get the Pelicans pick, but even if we get it, I wouldn't just assume that we're going to get Grant. And if that's just the plan all along, then I have no faith in Joe Cronin. But we've talked at length about Grant too, so I'd take Mathurin over Agbaji if that was the option, but I think Mathurin is going to be gone before that Pelicans pick. So honestly, Agbaji's my favorite target with that pick right now. I could also trade that pick down and have options, of course, but if you can just come out of this draft with like a Jabari Smith and Agbaji, honestly, both those guys could start at forward next year, and I think we would be a better team for it. Because I think Agbaji's very NBA ready.
Yeah, and yeah, let's say we're 11 and 12. Man, I don't know how far you can trade down and still make sure you get Agbaji. So unless they have it pretty locked in, that says like teams 12 through 14 aren't going to take him and you could trade down to 15 and pick up an additional asset, but I would be scared to do that and then have Agbaji get taken at 13 or something if that's a route, because that could definitely happen. So I'd probably just take him at 11 or 12 if that was our guy.
Yep.
Now, if we're comfortable with like 3 or 4 guys and one of them was guaranteed to fall to 15, sure, absolutely trade back.
Yep. Agree. One of the mods, Connor is at, because I see both of y'all in here. Clip this statement and send it to me on Discord, all right? I'm going to make a prediction. That's kind of random, but it's a draft prediction, all right? So right now, as of April 3rd, 2022, Dyson Daniels is projected mid-teens. I have a gut feeling that he's going to go top 10. It's just a random gut feeling, but I have a gut feeling he's going to go in the top 10. So clip this, send it to me. It's not that much of a hot take, but I haven't seen anybody mock him in the top 10.
I've seen.
Have you?
It's like 50-50, yeah.
Is it 50-50 right now? Yeah. Well, still clip it and send it to me. We'll see if the gut feeling is right. We should clip all our hot take predictions, but I guess that isn't as hot of a take as I thought. But I don't read. How many do you pay attention to all the mock drafts?
Well, yeah, I probably have like 15 to 20 of them, like that I pay attention to. Yeah,
it'd be cool to have like a database where it like updates all mock drafts and have like a matrix for it. You know.
Yeah.
Is there any you want to go over?
Mock drafts?
Yeah.
Oh man, I thought there was one the other day. Let me see.
But that's the thing. If Dyson Daniels goes top 10, maybe Mathurin falls to the Pelicans pick.
I'm trying to find one that maybe updated within the last 2 days or something. That 2023 mock draft.
2023, huh? Who's the top 5 in that mock draft? Actually, I could Google it. 2023 NBA mock draft. Let's see.
They got Wemby, Scoot, Derek Lively, Nick Smith Jr., and Derek Whitehead. Two.
I don't really know anything about.
Two of those guys are like top 5 prospects that are going to Duke. Scoot's in the G League, obviously. Wemby's over in France, and I think Nick Smith is going to Arkansas.
Yeah, he is. You could have 3 lottery picks from frickin' Arkansas next year, which is just weird to say, but yeah. Anyway, okay.
We could do our own mock draft.
Chat, you want us to do that? We could simulate the lottery. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's round out the stream with that. Because honestly, there's not much to talk about. I'm just waiting for this season to end at this point. To be quite honest, what's up, Iverson? Just trying to, talk about what chat wants us to talk about. Any Herb Jones-esque players that we should target in the second? Not quite. There's nobody in the second that I like as much as I liked Herb Jones at this point last year. So anyway, mock draft simulator. Okay, question for chat, okay? Should we simulate the lottery for this mock draft? We'll do a mock draft on stream with Fanspo. I know people are probably going to say yes. Yes? Okay. Should we use the one that we had? Oh, I lost the one that we had before. Okay, we'll do another lottery sim. Let's see if we get lucky. All right. If we don't get lucky, we don't get lucky. All right, we're going to simulate it and scroll up.
Can you simulate it on Tank-a-thon? Or no? Or
that's what I'm doing.
On
Fanspo? No, I don't think so. You couldn't before. I don't know if they updated it, but Charlotte, Brooklyn, no. New York, New Orleans, we kept the New Orleans pick, that's good. Washington, San Antonio, Lakers, Sacramento, no teams moved up. Portland, Houston moved down 3 spots. Detroit. This isn't wild enough, all right? So let's just simulate it again. I'm not going to go through it. All right, 7 and 11, you down with that? Yeah. Well, too bad, because we have to do it anyway. I said we had to, so 7 and 11, that'll be interesting. Which draft order do you want to use? Yeah, it only gives you NBA, so I gotta go to new custom order and create the draft order. You had what? Houston, OKC, San Antonio, Detroit.
And then while he's doing that, just a question for chat. Do you want us to do it like who we would pick, or who we think the team that gets us gets the pick will pick?
Detroit, Orlando, Indiana, then Portland at 7. Because I've been wondering if I should do like the mock draft videos that I do in the off season. If I should do it like with a lottery sim. I'll ask that at a different point to not confuse anyone. But
you might need to do a poll for this, because it started out everyone was saying that what the team would do, and then several people said we pick and act as GM, and then yeah.
I wish you could do polls. I wish mods could do polls.
Yeah.
That would be very easy. Okay, let me just click off this. All right. Yeah, let me do a chat poll.
Clippers are dominating the Pelicans, apparently. Thanks for the update, Smog. What's up, Ben Darling?
All right, there's the chat poll. Let us know, and we'll go through this mock draft. I said select who we want or select who we think the teams want.
I don't know if you saw this in the Discord, but Ben Darling said he is going to try and watch every single Power 5 college basketball game this year, starting now.
Every single one?
I guess.
Dude, that's... what?
My question is, why wouldn't you have started that?
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be possible. Every single Power 5 conference game?
And you still have to watch a bunch of lower levels because there's a lot of prospects.
You're talking about but if you there's probably 2,000 Power 5 conference games this year. So if you're doing that in the next 3 months, you're talking about 20 a day.
He's finished too.
Yeah.
Did you not watch any college basketball yet?
Huh.
I know you watched Illinois.
Clippers are up 51-33. FYI. Hopefully this is a preview of the play-in. The upcoming play-in that is bound to happen. Okay, let me go back to Tank-a-thon. I might have to readjust this. Cool. The draft order, I think, is good. Oh, the Blazers were 11th, and then who's 12th? The Knicks were 12th, and the Wizards were 10th. They don't update their own draft order as regularly as they should. Wizards. All right. Yeah. Okay. That's good enough. Draft. Lottos.
Yep. Kinda, Rohan. We want our Pelicans pick to be as good as possible if they don't make the playoffs, but it also increases their odds slightly to move up as well. So it's a little tricky, but yeah, as long as you're willing to risk them moving up by them moving up a couple spots past some Eastern teams or keeping those Eastern teams ahead of them, I guess it's all right.
How do I go back to the settings? Oh, right there. Okay, go back.
Go 49ers 05 says, I forgot how the play-in works. It's so 10 plays 9, 7 plays 8. The winner of 7 and 8 is the 7th seed. The loser of 7-8 plays the winner of 10-9, and that team is the 8th seed. And then everything else reverts back to pre-play-in for the lottery odds. Taylor Packer's taking his pitchfork to Joe Cronin's house if the Pelicans get a top 4 pick.
That's funny. All right. So chat wants us to... Oh, wait, no. Let me click off this before I go to my YouTube stream page. Chat wants us to select who we think the teams want. 79%.
Okay.
All right. So let's do this.
Do you want to alternate or do you want to...
Let's just conspire.
Okay.
Or we can alternate. What do you want to do?
I think I'd just go smoother if we're alternating.
All right. Do you want to go first, or do you...
You can flip a coin if you want.
Because the Blazers have 7 and 11.
Okay.
So...
Or we could do one... We could do between chat. I guess that would still work. Oh, no.
I don't know. I'll go odds until 8, and then you pick 8 and 9, and then I'll go 10, you go 11.
Okay.
All right, so at 1, Rockets. I feel like I don't really know what pieces stay long-term other than Jalen Green. I know Kevin Porter Jr. is young, but I don't know if he's entrenched there. The guy... They're just starting their rebuild at this point, so they could go... Even Jaden Ivey would make some sense there, but I feel like Jabari Smith would be the Rockets' pick here at 1. I'm going to go Jabari Smith for him.
Okay.
At 2, you got OKC, Eric.
All right. OKC. Poku, triple-double today. Huge game. Right? He's coming on. leading them out of the bottom three.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so the question for me would be, do you want a version of Poku on steroids, which is weird to say about Chet since he's so skinny, or do you want to add a legit power forward that you don't really have right now? So I'm probably going to take Bankero.
All right. Well, you made it really easy for me at 3. I feel like Chet Holmgren is the type of player Greg Popovich would like. Defensive-minded but skilled big man who can, has some passing ability. I feel like Chet Holmgren would be a good fit there. They don't really have a center long-term. They got Jakob Poeltl, but I don't think he's a long-term solution there. They really have no other young, long-term core big men. You got DeJounte Murray. You got Devin Vassell. I guess Keldon Johnson, obviously. DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson are kind of their guys. They got some talent on the perimeter, so I think Chet Holmgren makes a ton of sense. He'll go 3 to San Antonio. Now at 4, you got Detroit, Eric.
So Detroit's taking Ivy, pairing him and Cade Cunningham. I think that's a really good combo that will lead them to brighter days down the road.
Yep. Okay, so now it gets interesting. At 5, you got Orlando. Oh, God. I don't even know. Orlando has a lot of guards. We talked about them earlier. You got Mo Bamba. Who knows what happens with Jonathan Isaac? He can't get on the floor. They got Franz Wagner. I feel like Franz Wagner and Keegan Murray, in terms of forward spots, would be interesting. I guess they could go for a power forward, but I don't think they'd necessarily draft for need here. If Shaden Sharp's big enough to play the 3, I feel like he's kind of like a upside play here, and I think he'll have the most upside left on the board, and I think that's what Orlando needs to go for. So I think at 5 they take Shaden Sharp.
Okay.
All right, at 6, so you got her.
I can't see the top of this. Who is it? Pacers?
Yeah, it is Pacers.
I think the Pacers here would take Keegan Murray. I think he's a really good fit for their style. And I just think he screams Indiana to me.
Oh, God. So at 7, obviously you have AJ Griffin. I just have a gut feeling he's not going to measure super well, but also that could be the case with Mathurin. Do you want to make this pick and I'll make the next one?
Nope.
Chat, who would you go for here at 7? Let me know in chat. I want to see what you guys would go with while I think about this decision for the Blazers. Who would the Blazers want? Honestly, a gut feeling says this might be Dyson Daniels or something. I don't want to take Agbaji this high. A lot of people are saying Mathurin.
What? A lot of people said AJ at first. 5 people said AJ. Yeah.
I only see 1, 2, 3, 4 AJ. It's pretty split between a couple Jalen's, Pablo. Who's Pablo? If AJ Griffin measures well enough, I feel like it'd be AJ Griffin. So without knowing that information, I'm just gonna go roll with AJ Griffin here at 7 for Portland.
All right.
And then you're at 8, and then you take 8 and 9.
All right, so Sacramento, they pretty much need everything right now. I think the best fit for them is Mathurin, so I'm taking him.
All right, at 9 you got New Orleans.
New Orleans.
This is interesting. This is iffy.
Okay, so you got Valanciunas. You think you have a healthy Zion. You have Herb Jones. I'm putting Johnny Davis in the backcourt next to CJ, and I think Yeah, maybe Dyson Daniels comes into play here, but I really like Johnny Davis, so I would think that he kind of alleviates some of the problems with CJ in the backcourt. I think that's a good combination.
All right, at 10, so you got Washington. They don't have a long-term point guard solution. Um, I feel like this would be the team to take a chance on a Dyson Daniels. Who knows if they keep Bradley Beal? Dyson Daniels has the size to play the three. He's very positionally versatile. I feel like this would be the team to take Dyson Daniels, so I'm going Dyson Daniels 10 for Washington. All right, Eric, 11. You got Portland. You got Duran. You got Agbaji.
Yeah,
You got Eason as well.
man. So the Blazers took AJ Griffin earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Made it hard for you. Let's go.
yeah, I think they're taking. I think in this situation they probably take Duran. I would personally, I would take Agbaji, but I think they go for a big man because if you take Agbaji, you have AJ Griffin already. You have way too many small forwards and guards and stuff already. So probably gonna take Duran.
All right, Duran, they're at 11. At 12, you got New York. They don't.
Chat's gonna hate me.
Yeah, Chat absolutely hates you. New York, I feel like, is the team that could take a chance on someone. I just don't know who. You got Ty on the board, but I feel like New York doesn't have good luck picking in this range of the draft from like 8 to 12. I mean, you look at like Ntilikina, Kevin Knox. I don't really know what their long-term plan is. This is tough, man.
Dizzy D, $2 donation. Thank you. If we combine pick 7 to 11, how far could we move up? Probably not very far at this particular draft because you could probably get to 5, but I don't think anyone in the top 4 is doing that unless it's us with that problem. But there would be a team with 7 and 11 to trade down to.
I want Ty Washington. I just think they need a guard. And they take another Kentucky guard like Emmanuel Quickly. It's hard to figure out what New York's long-term plan is. Houston 13 from Brooklyn.
I think they... Okay, so they took Şengün and Garuba last year.
Yep, and they got Jabari Smith.
And they got Jabari Smith already. They have, obviously, some bigger guards already, so this is tough, but I think I would go with Tari Eason for them. I think getting an athletic guy and then they could play super fast, I think that would be the best style for them to just go all out with like a quick athletic team.
Yep. Okay. 14, you got Charlotte. And I think Charlotte goes for a center here. I think they either go Koloko or they go Mark Williams. They need a legitimate big man, preferably one that's mobile, that can play in an up-tempo offense. I think Mark Williams is mobile enough and a good lob target, lots of length there. So a good pick-and-roll big to put with LaMelo. I think that Charlotte would go Mark Williams.
All right.
15, you got OKC, Eric.
So OKC took Banchero already, right?
Yep.
Can you scroll down a little bit?
In terms of prospects, yeah.
Yeah, just trying to see who's left. They're another team that I don't think would hesitate to take a risk. I think this is one of the first picks that Jovic comes into play. I also think someone like Jaden Hardy could be in play here. But I think this guy has moved up draft boards over the last couple months. and I think he'd be a really solid player for them. Good fit next to SGA, even though they have some guards already, and that's the person you have clicked there.
Yep.
Malachi
Knew
Brown.
it.
Yep.
Knew it. All right, you got Atlanta. Ooh, okay. Atlanta has like a lot of depth, but not enough top end talent. Like Agbaji's kind of the obvious pick here, but they have Bogdanovich, they have Herter, they have DeAndre Hunter. I feel like a upside play here would make the most sense, but I don't know exactly who that would be. This is a tough position to draft in for an upside play. I feel like honestly, I feel like Nikola Jovic for Atlanta, a guy that could play either forward spot. He needs to put on a little bit of muscle, but somebody positionally versatile because I don't really know what their plan is. They have a lot of wings. They have Danilo Gallinari apparently is a shooting guard. According to this, he's actually a power forward. But they have John Collins, Nilagari, power forward. They have Bogdanovich, Herter, Hunter is wings. You got Jalen Johnson, good long-term project there. I feel like they'd go for. I feel like Jovic would be a Hawks play here. All right, at 17, you got Indiana. Agbaji still on the board. Sohan still on the board.
Took Keegan Murray earlier. I think they take. This is tough. If they take Liddell, they have basically two of the same players.
Yeah.
With Murray and Liddell. Yeah, I think because they took Duarte last year, who was kind of similar to Agbaji in terms of being an older player and kind of NBA ready, I think they go for Sohan in this situation.
All right. At 18, you got Minnesota, and I think Agbaji is absolutely perfect here to be their starting three next to D'Angelo Russell, next to Anthony Edwards. You got Vanderbilt there. You got Cat. I think Agbaji, this is the perfect kind of landing spot for him. So I'm going to go Agbaji to 18. He fell a little bit, but that's the thing with a player like that who's NBA ready is some teams are going to want to make an upside play and some teams are going to want the guy who's ready to contribute right away. Depending on where teams fall, that's going to depend player stock.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You got Chicago at 19, Eric.
So they're obviously very guard heavy, play a lot of guards at forward positions. Could you scroll down just a little bit for me, please? Yeah. I think they go for some scoring power punch off the bench and take a EJ Liddell.
All right, Liddell for the Bulls. At 20, we got San Antonio, who drafted Chet. And... Man, dude. I mean, Chet's probably a power forward at first. They could go big. They have so many perimeter players. I feel like a Chet Koloko front court would be interesting long term. I feel like Koloko is a guy who's shown some flashes of passing. He's improved his free throw shooting tremendously. He might be a guy that's able to develop an outside shot. I feel like Koloko in San Antonio would be a good fit, so I'm going to go with Koloko as well. Chet and Koloko, future front court.
Screw Pirtle and Collins, I guess.
I don't know if Collins factors in, but that's the thing is you need more than two bigs. So Collins can factor in there as well. Collins next to Chet, Collins next to Koloko, Koloko next to Chet. I just don't think Portal's kind of the long-term guy there. So yeah, Koloko.
All right. Who do we? I can't see who's.
You got Memphis.
Memphis, huh? All right. So this is a team that is very smart with their drafting.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a ton of young talent on their team. They like having players that compete. They're not afraid to take chances. And if you go, yeah, go back. Let's go back up. I think they would take a guy like Blake Wesley. I think he fits their kind of mindset as a team, hard-nosed defender, kind of edge to his game, and I think they would take him.
All right. 22, you got, oh man, Denver. I could see them, they don't have the same depth as they used to, so I could see them going for an NBA-ready depth piece, especially at a wing spot. They could also go Kendall Brown, but he's a little bit duplicative with an Aaron Gordon, in a way. I feel like... Ew, this is tough. I want to know? I want to know who you think they would take here. It's not going to affect my choice at all. I'm just curious who you think they would roll with here.
I think they might go for upside and take a Jaden Hardy, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's the thing. They could go with Patrick Baldwin Jr. to be their next MPJ. They could go with Kendall Brown to be their next Aaron Gordon. I feel like upside might be the right pick, but I feel like the upside pick here, I think maybe Beauchamp goes here to Denver. Kind of, they drafted RJ Hampton and he didn't play. He played overseas. He didn't play in college. Beauchamp's playing G League Ignite, but they haven't shied away from taking, some high upside players that, didn't go the traditional route or didn't play much college. Bol, Michael Porter Jr. weren't really established in college, so I think Beauchamp would be a Denver pick right here.
All right.
23, you got Brooklyn.
Oh, let's see, Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn goes Walker Kessler. Tries to add some defensive big to their rotation.
Okay, cool. 24, you got Dallas, who also has a little bit of a weird roster here. I could see them maybe going Kennedy Chandler. Depends on Jalen Brunson's situation. He is a restricted free agent this summer, I believe. So he's going to get a bag. I think he'll stay in Dallas, but it's slightly questionable. They could always use another playmaker. Kendall Brown defensively. Oh, yeah, they got Dinwiddie. Never mind. Freaking Dinwiddie. So I guess they could use a big man, but maybe a 4. Oh, God, but there's no big men. I mean, I could maybe see them taking Kamagate as a reach. You got Jang, who I guess ESPN is liking. You got... I feel like Patrick Baldwin Jr. could be the pick here, just assuming he shoots better than he did in college. Could just be a spot-up guy for Luka. That's big enough to play the 4. So I'm just going to go Patrick Baldwin Jr. I don't really know who to go with for Dallas, man. 25, you got San Antonio. Eric, they've drafted Chet. They've drafted Koloko.
All right. Can you go back up for me?
I am up at the. Oh, you got Kennedy Chandler was the only one up.
Oh. I think um, I think they maybe think they can fix this player, and it's the guy your cursor's on. I think they take Kendall Brown.
Yeah, pretty solid pick there. Koloko, Brown, Chet, going with some defensive-minded guys. 26, you got Milwaukee. I think they'll go NBA ready. I feel like just a guy that can shoot, a guy that can play make, that can play a wing spot. I feel like Wendell Moore Jr. would be a solid Milwaukee pick here. 27, you got Golden State.
Golden State, I think, only goes for whoever they think has the highest upside. Um, so I think they go with. I think they take Jang, Osman Jang. Yeah.
All right, solid. Okay, 28, Miami. Miami's not afraid to make a splash. They don't need a Jaden Hardy type. They got Tyler Hero. They got Kyle Lowry. They could, I guess, use a third guard like that, but that doesn't really make sense. Kennedy Chandler could be a long-term. Actually, yeah, that's where I'm going to go for Miami. They don't have a backup point guard that really impresses me right now. So maybe Kennedy Chandler could step and be the backup right away, but long term they'd hope for him to be the Kyle Lowry replacement. So I'm going Kennedy Chandler, 28, Miami. All right, 29, you got Memphis. They took Blake Wesley at 21.
So they're looking on the board. They see a couple players that they considered taking earlier in this draft, and I think even though it's kind of duplicate, I think they take Jaden Hardy here.
All right. 30, we got OKC. They've taken Bankero. They've taken Branham. They also have the 34th pick, so I feel like maybe it's a draft and stash guy, but they could also use a... What position do they need for a 30th pick? Because at this point, you got Branham, you got Bankero... You got Bankero, Baisley, Poku. You're kind of set on guards. I feel like they could take a risk on a scoring small forward. Bryce McGowan, 6'6". Maybe we can play some 3. I feel like he'd be kind of an OKCS pick. I don't know why. Or they go Keels here, but I feel like they'll just go for some upside. They're in a position to do so. So Bryce McGowan is going to be my pick for OKC. All right, second round, you got 31 is Indiana, Eric. They've taken Keegan Murray and Jeremy Sohan.
We're doing the second round.
Let's just do it through. I mean, Portland has the 36th pick, so I figure we at least do it through there. But we can speed this up. We can do this faster.
Yeah. For some reason, Christian Brown screams Indiana to me as well. So,
is that your pick for them?
Yes.
All right. At 32, you got Orlando. They took Shaden Sharp at 5. I'm going to take Kamagate. They don't know necessarily... I mean, I'm sure they plan on keeping Mo Bamba, but he's potentially a guy who could walk. I mean, you got Wendell Carter, too, who can play the center spot, but they have depth at pretty much every position. They just don't have elite guys, so I feel like an upside play might make sense. Oh, God. I feel like they go with... I feel like they need to go with some born and just go Trevor Keels. That's my pick for them. 33, you got Toronto.
All right, Toronto. Always a fun drafting team as well. I think Toronto isn't afraid to take a chance, so I like Montero for them.
All right, 34. You got OKC. I think they go draft and stash here. They've taken two wings and a power forward. Who do they go draft and stash with? I feel like maybe I don't know if Besson's a draft and stash guy. I don't know which one of these guys are like draft and stash worthy. Um, but maybe a guy 6'5", little positional versatility. They have a lot of guards, but they have wings now with Brandon McGowan's. They have bigs, so just draft and stash with Hugo Besson. All right, 35. You got Orlando. They took Keels. They took Sharp. Eric, now it's your turn to figure out who the hell Orlando's going to go with.
Um. Uh, can you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, I can look at specific positions if you want me to. So got like Harrison Ingram is at 55, Jabari Walker's at 61, Precaution, Caleb Houston's at 66. I think he's a little higher. Orlando Robinson too.
I think they take. I kind of like Jalen Williams for them. I think they take Jalen Williams. I think he's a good fit next to Wendell Carter.
Which Jalen Williams?
Number 60 he's on.
Okay,
Not that
Arkansas.
Jalen Williams. Yeah.
Arkansas Jalen Williams?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, 36, you got Portland. They've taken AJ Griffin, small forward. They've taken Duren, who's a center. You know who I'm going to want to take here. But
yeah.
With Griffin, I don't know if it's the play.
First
off, who would you draft here out of all these players? Who would you draft here, Eric?
I mean, I have someone that's not even on here. But,
yeah, you got Baji, huh?
Yeah.
Is he not? Oh, he's at 110.
Yeah. So you can maybe get him with the later pick. But yeah, I kind of, man, yeah, we still need a power forward. I don't think Roddy can play power forward in the NBA, but I think he's the best player still on the board, probably.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well.
MD, we're setting it up so you love it when it happens.
Yeah. Drew Timmy, Orlando Robinson. I mean, they took Duren. They don't need a point guard. We don't really need a big. Justin Lewis would make some sense here. Maybe a Jake LaRavia. I haven't really watched this game much. Wake Forest missed the tournament.
Ben Darling, that I think you're mistaken on that. Everything I've seen is that Kentucky and Sharp have been talking about how he could come back another year, but it's all talk, and that when it comes down to it, he'll end up declaring.
Actually, I know who I want with this pick, and it's not David Roddy. And I feel like Portland might go get this guy. I feel like Jabari Walker would make a lot of sense here. It might be a little high at 36, but they took a small forward in Griffin. They took a center in Duren. I like Jabari Walker's game. I think he has a lot of room for growth skill-wise, but shows some flashes, of knocking down threes, taking guys off the dribble. I feel like Jabari Walker would be the pick here at 36. The Blazers get a Jabari out of the draft. Congrats. What do you think of? You're very quiet.
Charlie, you said Kendall Brown. That's who we're talking about. An NBA draft. Okay, PSA for everyone. It's okay to go look at NBADraft.net, but don't take it seriously one bit. They are the worst possible thing in terms of big boards and mock drafts and stuff like that. They are the absolute worst site you can look at. It's set up well, and it's really easy to look at their mock drafts and stuff. It's really nice, but in terms of the the knowledge, it's terrible.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
But I was arguing with you about Kendall Brown, not Jean Montero or whatever. But all right, so Sacramento Kings. Got Mathurin. I still can't see very far down the big board. This is the part that sucks because there's so much.
Yeah, it's good to familiarize ourselves with second round prospects, though.
Yep. I think they. Can you go down just a little bit more? Sorry. Yeah. You went kind of faster and then right back up to the same spot. Drew Timmy. No, just kidding. I think they. Man, I don't know if some of these guys are gonna. I think maybe they take Justin Lewis as like a Harrison Barnes replacement in a couple years.
All right, there it is. Spurs have taken Holmgren, Koloko, Kendall Brown, so I think they'll go with the draft and stash guy for their fourth pick if they keep it. I think they could go out and be in the market for a point guard, so I'm going to take Matteo Spagnolo. There we go. All right. 39, you got Cleveland, Eric. First pick of the draft.
Cleveland's up for the first time. I think they think they're closer than a lot of other teams. I mean, if they resign Sexton, they have a pretty good guard rotation. They obviously have a good big rotation as well. So I think they could be a weird team that goes kind of win now and takes a David Roddy. I think wouldn't be the worst fit with them. So I'm going to take Roddy.
Cool. Yeah, Roddy makes sense there. 40, we got New York. I feel like New York would maybe just go with a forward that could shoot, play some 4, play some 3. I mean, it depends on his measurements, but I feel like Caleb Houston would be a Knicks-ish pick here at 40. All right, 41, you got Charlotte, Eric. They took Mark Williams at 14.
Ben Darling, you need to watch more Blazers Uprise and do less drugs.
What?
All right, so he said Max Christie should go in the lottery.
What?
Yeah.
What? Okay, I absolutely do not agree with that, but...
Charlotte.
41.
Yeah, lottery agenda is yeah. Okay, this is for Ben Darling. Max Christie.
Oh God. Okay. Another. Yeah, they're stacked on guards too. You got Minnesota at 42. Honestly, they could go with a another wing. They took Agbaji, I guess, so they could go with a forward, maybe a playmaking forward. Harrison and Ingram, I feel like would make some sense here for whatever reason, so I'm gonna go with them. 43, you got Clippers, Eric.
The Clippers.
Yes, the Clippers. Ben always overrates Big Ten players too.
Why would someone say they have a lottery agenda for someone and then say, but really he's a top 25 player? That's two different things. So you have he should go on the top 25 agenda, not
which isn't as much of a hot take, but the dude struggled this year, and kind of disappeared a few times. Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's annoying, but I can only see like 5 people.
Just memorize all of them. Photographic memory. Let's go.
And unfortunately, I can't.
All right. You got Clippers 43.
I think the Clippers would be one of the first teams to maybe take a chance on guy like J.D. Davison. I'm not super high on him based on a lot of games I watched. I actually think they would be intrigued by the. Okay, scroll down just a tiny bit. Um, that Jalen Williams.
Do you want me to take?
Yeah, Jalen Williams.
All right. 44, we got Charlotte again. They took Mark Williams. They took Max Christie. I think they could go for even another. And they got Kai Jones. What's up?
Can I give a suggestion?
Sure.
I think out of all the teams, Minot would be very interesting for their playstyle.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't get drafted. I don't know. Like, he has upside. He just didn't do a whole lot this year. Interesting guy. I feel like, I don't know. They have depth at a lot of positions. They got Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre. They're fine on guards. They could go for some sort of combo forward, I guess. They might move PJ Washington, so maybe an in-state product like Jake LaRavia would make some sense here as a power forward that's has some skills. Yeah, I'm gonna go with LaRavia here, in-state product. All right, who do you got at 45?
Who is it?
Detroit.
Detroit basketball. They got Jaden Ivey. Man. I think they.
You're thinking about this too much.
I am thinking about it too much. This might surprise someone. I'm gonna take Caleb Love.
Okay.
And have a Love Ivy Cunningham.
I was thinking of Caleb Love for, I think he played his way into draft range, so he's somebody that I was thinking about for a future team. But all right, 46, you got Atlanta. I mean, they are just kind of set positionally in terms of depth, and you're probably not going to get anything more than a depth piece here. Maybe they could go for another wing. I'm going to just take a stash guy. I'm going to take Procida. 47, you got New Orleans, Eric.
Oh, good old Pelicans, huh?
Yep, they took Johnny Davis with the 9th pick.
I kind of like Oscar Shibwe for them.
Okay, Shibwe for... Okay. 48, we got the Timberwolves. They took Agbaji. They took Harrison Ingram. I feel like this might be an upside play for them. Or it could be some big depth. I don't know if they keep Naz Reid long term. So I am going to go with Kamagate for them. Could stash him. Probably would stash him. 49, you got Sacramento.
Sacramento again, huh?
Mathurin and Lewis were the 8th and 37th picks.
Yeah. This is, I mean, I'm sorry, but I can't really see much of that. Thank you.
It's the same names.
Yeah. I am going to take Orlando Robinson for
That's who
center.
I was thinking. Yep. Cool. 50, you got Golden State. They took Ujman Jang. I feel like Jaime Hawkes would just be a Golden State Warriors type of player forward that just kind of fit into what they do, so I'm going to take him.
All right.
51, you got Minnesota again. They took Arbaji, Harrison Ingram, and Kamagate. Probably stashing Kamagate. This is the first time you get to pick for them, so who are you taking?
The Timberwolves, huh? I'm not taking Ariel Dizzy D. I know you love him, but um,
What position are you thinking? I can click on like a specific position.
maybe like power forward center types.
Isaiah
Oh,
Mobley is still available.
I'm gonna take Musa.
Diabate? Okay.
Yeah.
52, we got New Orleans. They took Johnny Davis. They took Sheeb away.
I know Dizzy D. I'm just giving you credit.
I feel like they just go with They don't really have like a pure 3-point shooter, just like a spot up sniper, unless I'm forgetting somebody. So I feel like Hyunjung Lee Davison, big enough to play small forward. I think he fits in there. He's just a shooter. All right, 53. You got Miami Irk. Portland's almost up, and then we'll wrap up the stream.
Okay. I'm trying to look at a different big board
They took Kennedy Chandler
to make it easier for you.
Yeah. I mean, this could be the fit for Josh Minot.
Yeah, I think they go for an upside and just take J.D. Davison at this point.
Even though they took Kennedy Chandler earlier?
Yeah, I don't think they care about position.
Okay. 54, you got Boston, first pick of the draft. Oh, Boston's interesting. Okay, I think they may. I think they go with Isaiah Mobley here. They could use some power forward depth. They got a lot of bigs, but they're kind of fine on guards. They got Derek White, Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard. Just like Nick Stauskas. Probably doesn't factor into things, but yeah, I'm gonna go Isaiah Mobley for them. 55, you got Washington.
Can you go back up to the top of your big board, just the regular big board, real quick?
Yep, I'm there.
That's it.
Khalifa Diop, Yannick knows. I don't know how to say his name. Trevion Williams.
The Wizards. What stupid thing would the Wizards do here?
Zach Edey with Porzingis.
Is Procida gone?
Yeah, I took him.
Okay. I'm gonna say they'll take. How about Alondis Williams?
Okay. Alondis Williams. All right, 56. We got Milwaukee. Took Wendell Moore Jr. I think they go with Jamari Boye. I think he played himself into draft range in his first round game. Dude went off. Yeah.
I don't care if it's not how you say.
Boye.
Booyah!
So I'm going to go with him. 57. You got Golden State.
This
a couple
forfeited picks because we should have drafted from Miami.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Oh, well.
All right, so the Warriors are going to take how about, did Precaution get taken yet?
Nope.
Take him.
All right. 58. I got Cleveland. They took David Roddy. Still some decent players on the board. I'm going to go... I feel like Trevion Williams could make sense here. You could play him next to Mobley. I think that would be a solid fit on both ends of the floor. A guy that could potentially come in and play some minutes right away. I think Trevion Williams is a Cleveland pick there. All right, Eric, 59 for Portland. They took AJ Griffin, Jalen Duren, and Jabari Walker.
Well, we found our project big man, I guess.
Who's that?
Ibu Baji.
All right. Baji there. And then at 60, we got Indiana. They took Murray, Sohan, and Christian Brown.
There's one guy you have to take to finish the perfect Indiana draft.
Oh, God, who's that?
I'll leave you to figure that out.
So they took a guy from Iowa, Baylor, and Kansas. Keegan Murray, Jeremy Sohan, and Christian Brown. Who screams Iowa? Or who screams Indiana? Oh, God, you're going to say Drew Timme, aren't you? Nah, Drew Timme's going back to Gonzaga for his senior year.
We know that, Brian.
I think they go with, I don't know. I feel like they go with a center. Zach Edey. All right, there's our mock draft. Had Portland getting Duren, or had Portland getting AJ Griffin, Jalen Duren, Jabari Walker, and Dianko Baji.
Dianko.
Anyway. So that's interesting. Okay. Would have been next time we should just do it who we would draft.
Yeah, just switch it up.
Because it's hard to think about what teams would want.
Yeah.
A little easier, but, we let chat decide. Anyway, there we go. We'll be live again. What's today? Sunday? We'll be live again Tuesday. Yeah, we forgot to mention this. So, Blazers Uprise Live will be on Tuesday instead of Wednesday because there's no NBA games to pick from tomorrow. We wanted to pick against the spread. It's a stretch run. It's gotten close. So, Blazers Uprise Live will be on Tuesday. So, no stream tomorrow. The Blazers play next... Let me pull up their schedule here. They play Tuesday against OKC?
Yes.
You said that like a question, so I'm going to check.
Yeah, I think it's OKC Tuesday, then Thursday.
New Orleans.
Friday back-to-back.
Yep. A week from now, it will be the final game of the season. All right, so...
Sunday is Utah at home?
Yep. Last game of the season on Sunday. So, yeah. OKC on Tuesday. We'll have 2 streams on Tuesday. Then we'll have 2 streams on Thursday. Both days will involve Blazers Uprise Live, going live around 3:30. That's our second channel. Link in description. Go subscribe if you haven't. And then a post-game show. And then, we'll kind of wrap things up as we get into the, weekend. You got Friday and Sunday, and those are the last 2 games, Dallas and Utah after that. So, dang, the season's almost over. It's kind of crazy. It's going to be weird going into the final game of the season knowing it's going to be the final game because the final post-game show of the season has always just kind of been sad. You know what I mean? Like, dang, we just got eliminated from the playoffs. Even though we knew it was going to happen with the Lakers, it was always just kind of, you go into that game not knowing if it's going to be your last. We know that this is going to be Portland's last, Utah on the April 10th, so that's going to be an interesting stream.
Yeah, for sure.
But
try to make it fun.
Yep, that stream will kind of just recap the season, I guess. And then I'll have a mock draft after the play-ins. That'll be my first mock draft video, and I'll have like off-season content plans that I'll drop probably that Monday on the 11th. Just kind of detailing some of the things we're going to do in the off-season. Off-season content should be fun, so hopefully you guys enjoy that.
And Duke did not make it to the championship game, but tomorrow night you have a chance to watch Akbaji for the last time if you're interested in some of the stuff we talked about earlier. Haven't really watched him play much. He's on Kansas, and he's playing North Carolina tomorrow. Should be a good game.
Yep. Watch more Blazers Uprise and do less drugs. Yeah, I should put that on a merch line, Connor. That's funny. Anyway, we'll catch you again Tuesday with 2 streams. Hopefully you're able to make them. If not, hopefully you're able to catch us before the end of the season. I'm excited for the off-season content, though. Excited to have this off-season, and hopefully the Pelicans don't play their way into the playoffs.
Brian, we will live stream the draft lottery. We will live stream the entire 60 or 58 picks, I guess, of the NBA draft. We'll have a live stream all day, first day of free agency, and maybe the next day or two if there's still a lot of stuff going on. And then is that the big 3? Is there one more stream in the off season?
You said lottery, you said draft, you said free agency?
Yeah.
We'll have our mock off-season draft on the main channel too,
Okay.
But that's not like a big stream. So.
Yeah, and then everything else, of course, if there's a trade, we'll go live shortly after it happens. If there's any big Blazer news, of course, we'll have you covered, and then we'll have our weekly shows on Blazers Uprise Live as well. So, yeah, lots of coverage for you guys in the offseason.
Yep, as I said, I'll release our plans for content right after the end of the season, and that should be fun. So anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your night and a good rest of your Sunday. We will catch you again in a couple of days. Just kind of, we got some good things planned, so we're just kind of holding out here until the end of the season, just kind of letting you guys run streams, ask your questions, and just trying to, make the content what you guys want to see. That's basically just the only goal right now. So hopefully you've been enjoying it. If not, hopefully you enjoy the off season. We will catch you on Tuesday. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.